go to some record stores, and he's in his 70s, and he doesn't really want to look at records, but he's nice to be with us. And
Sure.
and there was one record store that had a chair in it, and it's like, I was telling the owner about our record store, and I go, I happen to have chairs for if there's someone that does not want to look.
Sure.
They can just sit and wait and relax and
Mm-hmm.
sit and read a book or sit and listen to something. Or it's we have found that we have some great brew pubs here.
Oh, fantastic! Yes.
Pick up a growler, bring it back here. If you don't like PBR,
Mm-hmm.
we can serve you beer from some of the other some of the local establishments too.
Any plans for the future with FM Music to expand or to franchise possibly, or anything like that?
That would be the dream to have that worry. At this time, it's a small operation with the dreams that it's something that I could see doing for the rest of my life. I don't see retiring. This is, going out finding records isn't hard work. It takes some time.
Yes.
The amazing thing about records, though, when you put a lot of them together, they do get quite heavy. Other than that, it's fun to do. It'd be ideal if I would get to the point that we would say, oh, we need multiple locations. That would be the dream. But right now, we're happy with what we're doing here. We had a chance at one time for the space next to us. We just didn't feel that it was time to expand that early on, and we're comfortable with our size right now. There could be, down the road, maybe look at different locations. And it's a tough thing in Kansas City. The price per square foot is crazy in different parts of the city. So finding a place that you have foot traffic and you can pay your rent, make a little profit, because we're selling items that are $5 to $10, and it takes a lot of $5 and $10 to add up.
Completely, yes. What do you? Just a couple quick ones here. What's, in your opinion, of all the freebies that were ever given away in vinyls across the years, the stickers, the posters, the fold-outs, whatever, what do you think was the best freebie that any band ever gave away?
Electric Light Orchestra, Out of the Blue.
Yes.
2-album set, incredible number of great songs, but they had the spaceship that you could pop out and build.
Yeah.
And when I come across one of those albums that still has that intact inside, I'm like a little kid. It's like the happiest day that somehow whoever bought that album didn't pop it out and put it together and build the spaceship. But love that as spaceship. That's the one that really makes me happy when I find it. If I find a Dark Side of the Moon that still has the stickers, White Album that still has the poster and the 4 individual pictures of the Beatles is always a nice thing to get to.
What about a Sgt. Pepper with the mustache cutouts?
Yes.
That's a good one.
And there's
the medals and everything.
Yes.
Let's see here. What do you think is the difference between vinyl when it first came out and this vinyl resurgence? What's changed from then to now? Like what's the focus now as opposed to the focus then?
The big focus now is you always hear about 180 gram vinyl. And there's even 200 gram vinyl in the thickness. That's supposed to make the quality and the sound better. In the 90s, especially with a lot of country discs, they were so flimsy and floppy that you could, and they were actually, some of them were called flex vinyl.
I've got a couple of those, yeah.
That supposedly the quality of the vinyl is better now. The vinyl, sadly, was sort of an afterthought. Even in the 70s, pressings in Japan. Japanese releases were always said to be on virgin vinyl. Vinyl in the United States, they would use vinyl for the pressings, so the quality wouldn't be as good as that you could buy in other countries. United States has always been bad about, if you go back to the Beatles, it was all about 10 songs. Chop off some songs, we can get more albums out of them this way. So you had the releases in England had more cuts on them than what was put out in the United States, and that continued into the 80s with music. You can buy stuff that were British releases that will have 11 and 12 songs versus an American release that might just have 10. I mean, last year we went to Ireland with the Elders, and I hit up in Northern Ireland and brought back a great whiteout, and it had 2 more cuts than what the American release did. As soon as I did the post of that, I had multiple customers. I wish I would have been able to find 10 of them, brought them all 10 of them back, because I only had one, and I had multiple customers wanting it. So America's quality has always probably maybe not been as good, and always been a little greedier with making money from the record labels. It's never been about the customers, so hopefully now it's a little more about the customers, about the quality.
Totally, yeah. You know, I've seen some really just head-scratching reissues of some stuff that I'm just like, who in their mind has been waiting for this reissue? I think one of them was like a Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street novelty album. Has there been any stuff that is like really makes you scratch your head like, what's the point?
Well, I got an email from this record label that just started up, and they had 2 albums available, and they were the music off of it was get it right here. It was the music off of a Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtles video game.
Oh, okay.
And it was the music off of that. So I guess maybe somehow it was public domain. Somehow that music might have got to that point that they could put it out that way.
Possibly. And
they were putting it out on green vinyl, of course. And it was like, is there really enough people out there to justify a pressing of...
It is scary, yeah.
And then and the big thing now is limited runs. You might do... It almost has to be 500 to justify costs. But limited run, that helps keep the value up. But there is some just nutty stuff. There's things getting released on vinyl, again, that the record labels never saw as a feasible thing to put out on CD that was pre-CD, that they never thought there's enough market to justify taking this album from the 60s, 70s and put out on CD, but now they're reissuing it on vinyl.
It's like, not only do you have to find the specific fan base, that specific person has to have a record player, has to be willing to spend the money to get that record, because it's usually never cheap either.
No.
Yeah.
So I mean, the prices, right now there's, and I'm drawing a blank on the company name, that just specializes in movie soundtracks. And they're reissuing special edition 2 vinyl sets, and you're talking $35 or more.
Yeah. I think you're thinking of Mondo.
I am.
Yes.
Thank
Mondo.
you. And they just last week, I believe it was an issue of The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Came out last week.
And it's tempting too. It's so tempting because it's like,
and some of them, because they're limited edition, that within and you have to buy just from them. They're not available through Amazon unless you get it. Someone buys it and then they second sell it later on. But for the first issue, it's just through them.
Yeah. Not
in stores, and they're driving the price up to collectors. And there's some people that really don't care about the movies. It's about future value.
Yes, yeah. I have a film soundtrack, like miniseries soundtrack for a miniseries called Over the Garden Wall, and I bought it. I just love the music. And $30, I was like, okay, whatever. And it's incredible. I look, it's not available anymore, and people are reselling it. They did the same thing with the Bill and Ted soundtrack. I was very upset about that. It was 30 seconds, it was gone. And the time it takes you to hit buy now, there's 200 copies on eBay.
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem with the company, because I think it's cool that they do put that stuff out in limited runs. It's the flippers that I just, but with any boom, that's going to happen.
It is, and that there's people that don't care about the music. It can be something that's profitable to them. It's almost like a stock investment.
Exactly.
But they're buying these certain record releases from this company, and it is driving up the price in the long run. But it isn't for the love of the music or for the love of vinyl or that. It's the idea that you're buying investment. And that's happened a little bit also with some of the stuff on record store days, with some of those releases. People just buy them with the idea that they'll wait a few months and then flip them and make more money off of them.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, because it's this great renaissance of all this wonderful music and rediscovering hidden gems and classics and connecting with family and friends through this music, and yet some people just saw it as like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. But let's not end on something bad. Let's end on something good. So you had Jeff Porter in here last weekend, and the videos are going up. He's going to be obviously coming back for some other stuff, or
we will. Jeff, this was his third time playing for us here. He's a friend. I'm a fan. He's part of the Rainmakers. He's not an original member. He joined them in 2011. My wife, our first date was to see Jeff, Bob Walkenhorst, and Norm Daler play at the old record bar. Developed a friendship with him. He's played here now for 3 times. When we're in the West Bottoms, had him play at our store there twice. He's nice enough to come and play. He's got personality. Every time he's played here, it's something different, and he helps bring in business, and it's fun, and we've had some other musicians, but Jeff we will definitely have back.
Good.
Saturday was fun because he brought his piano. He forgot his amp or speaker for it. Most places have a PA system. We don't have a PA system. We had the Midwest Music, we had the North Kansas City Music Fest in September, and we actually had a PA for that. We had 3 acts on that Saturday. But we were lucky enough that a gentleman that runs sound for the Rainmakers and other, he just happened to stop by. He was bringing in an amp to sell in the shop, and he did a MacGyver. He took some speaker wire, one of my Pioneer speakers that I use in the store, this receiver, hooked it up to Jeff's piano, and
it was incredible.
It was,
and that's such a great example of what this store offers that others don't. There's a sense of community and a sense of love that you just don't find anywhere else, if I'm going to be speaking from my point of view.
Well, thank you. We've been very, very blessed. Local artists have been very kind to let us sell their music in the store. Some local artists have been very nice to come here and play for us and give us a very reasonable. I believe that musicians should be paid for their time, so we do pay for their time. We have some customers and some friends that have been very kind and always turn up whenever we have music in the store. And then we have people like, his name's Mark Collins, but everybody knows him as Buzz. He's a huge music fan, but he has stereo equipment, and he brings me in pieces to give me something to sell that he's refurbished, and he's been very kind. And when I needed a PA for the one event, he had a PA that he loaned me for the day.
Fantastic.
Of course, I trade him out. He'll pick out a couple of records. He picks out a couple of records. We have a nice relationship that I pay people in vinyl for stuff. It's an old, being a small store, sort of old-timey, I do a lot of barter stuff. It's sort of a trade situation on different things. So I had one gentleman here, Cameron Russell. He's the lead singer and guitar player for Flanagan's Right Hook, and we had negotiated a price for him to play. And he comes in, and I had these Beatles dolls.
Yes, I asked about those. I wondered where those went.
And he's like, "You're going to pay me, and then I'm going to end up buying these."
Yeah.
He goes, "Why don't you just give me the Beatles?" He goes, "I'll just take 2 of them." And I go, "Well, you can't just take 2 of them.
Exactly. You need the set.
You need all 4. I mean, it's not right just to take 2." So he got paid in Beatles dolls to play here one Saturday. I had him for a while. But he walked in. He's a huge Beatles fan. He collects Beatles stuff. That's what he's told me, and he was just all excited about it.
Yeah,
and
it's rare to find a full set of those.
Yes,
that was one of the first conversations we had, was talking about those.
So I paid a musician to play here with Beatles dolls.
Well, fantastic stuff. And you guys are very social media savvy with Facebook, communicating with your customers via that. And I encourage everybody out there, if you're visiting the Kansas City area, or if you live here and you're not a fan of FM Music on Facebook, you need to get on that, because every week, sometimes almost every hour, it seems like something's coming in or going out or something.
Probably on Facebook too much. I'm still, as an old person, still learning how to do stuff with different types of media. But in this day and age, there's not a lot of ways to advertise other than using Facebook, Instagram. And then nice thing about it is the cost is just my time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I encourage everybody out there, if you have not visited the shop yet, please feel free to do so. What are the hours again?
We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 5.
Okay.
Friday and Saturdays, 11 to 6. And we're open a lot of Sundays, 1 to 5. Gentleman that's retired comes in. I think he just likes to listen to music, get out of the house, so he comes in here and opens up. So check us on Facebook. I post the Sundays that we're open. We are closed on Mondays.
Yes, and usually if there's not a big Chiefs game going on. So you know it's a local shop.
It is. Sports will affect if we're open or not. But check our hours on Facebook. Also, I post on Instagram, and we're also on Google Business and other business sites.
Take pictures, leave a nice review. It helps out so much.
It does.
Thank you very much for that.
Thanks.
Thank you very
much. Appreciate it.